These 10 songs changed rock forever.
And what if I told you the 70s didn't just change rock, they detonated it? Before the flashy lights and arena tours, something deeper was happening. Rock music wasn't just getting louder, it was getting smarter, darker, more rebellious. It wasn't about safe radio hits anymore. It was about breaking rules, bending genres, and rewriting what a song could be. These weren't just popular tracks, they were turning points. Some you know, some might surprise you, but every single one, it changed everything. The moment that riff hits, everything changes. Paranoid wasn't just a song, it was a shift in the atmosphere. In under 3 minutes, Black Sabbath laid the blueprint for what would become heavy metal, and the wildest part, the band didn't even think much of it. They wrote it in a rush, almost as filler, but that buzzing, relentless guitar tone, the urgency in Ozzy Osbourne's voice, and the sheer weight of the sound, it was something new. Rock music had flirted with darkness before, but this was different. This wasn't rebellion with a smile, this was paranoia, dread, and grit. Tony Iommi's detuned, distorted guitar gave the track its signature punch, and Geezer Butler's bass line stalked underneath like a threat. Suddenly, it was okay, no, essential for rock to sound dangerous. And just like that, the door to something heavier had been kicked wide open. Stairway to Heaven wasn't just a song, it was a statement. It whispered before it roared. At a time when radio singles ruled and rock was built for speed, Led Zeppelin took a bold left turn. The track opens with soft acoustic guitars, almost too delicate to follow Paranoid, but that's the brilliance of it. It lures you in with mystery. Robert Plant spinning cryptic lines about forests, shadows, and signs. You're not even sure what it means, but it feels massive. Then as the tempo builds, the layers stack. Electric guitar, drums, bass, and finally that blistering solo from Jimmy Page that would go on to be studied, copied, and worshipped for decades. This wasn't a party anthem or a protest song. It was something more elusive, spiritual, epic, and a little unsettling. Stairway made it clear that rock didn't have to follow any format. It could be cinematic, it could be poetic. It could stretch past the rules and still pull everyone in. And when Plant finally wails that last line, and she's buying a stairway to heaven, you realize Zeppelin didn't just write a song, they created a mythology. If you want more videos like this or other deep dives into music and culture, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out my page for more content. Thanks for watching. By 1971, the Who weren't just smashing guitars, they were smashing expectations. Baba O'Riley kicks off with something no one expected, a hypnotic looping synth pattern that felt more like science fiction than classic rock. But then the drums hit, then the chords, then Roger Daltrey's voice, full of defiance and frustration, cuts through like a siren. This wasn't just a song, it was a rallying cry. Don't cry, don't raise your eye. It's only teenage wasteland. One of the most haunting lines ever shouted in rock history. And behind that, you've got Pete Townshend crafting something far deeper than just a rebellious anthem. He blended rock, minimalism, and a touch of opera into one explosive track. The song doesn't follow any typical structure. It swells, bursts, and crashes unpredictably. Then comes that violent, cathartic violin solo at the end, like a final scream before silence. Baba O'Riley wasn't about chaos for chaos's sake. It was about finding meaning in the mess, and it showed that rock could be smart, experimental, and still absolutely massive. Lou Reed didn't just push boundaries, he walked straight past them like they weren't even there. Walk on the Wild Side wasn't loud or aggressive, it didn't need to be. Its power came from its cool detachment, its bold honesty, and that hypnotic bass line that slipped into your head and stayed there. With a voice that barely rose above a whisper, Reed painted portraits of New York's underground, drag queens, hustlers, outsiders, all the people rock usually ignored, and he did it on mainstream radio. In a decade full of glam and spectacle, Lou brought something quieter but far more dangerous: truth. He didn't shout, he didn't preach, he just told the stories others were too afraid to, and somehow it worked. The song's calm groove made it feel safe, but the lyrics carried razor edges. Walk on the Wild Side challenged what rock could talk about, who it could speak for, and what it could sound like, all without ever raising its voice. It might be the most recognizable riff in rock history, 4 notes that sound like a warning siren. But But Smoke on the Water was more than just a killer guitar line. Deep Purple turned a real-life disaster into a hard rock anthem. The story? A fire during a Frank Zappa concert burned down the casino they were supposed to record in. Most bands would panic. Deep Purple wrote a masterpiece. What made it groundbreaking wasn't just the power of the music, it was the attitude. The riff was gritty and mechanical, almost industrial. Ritchie Blackmore didn't shred, he stomped. The whole track felt like it was rising from smoke and ash, refusing to die. And Ian Gillan's vocals were full of swagger. The whole track felt like it was rising from smoke and ash, refusing to die. Proof that chaos could make something legendary. And just like that, hard rock wasn't just sound, it was storytelling. Big, loud, and unstoppable. David Bowie didn't just change the sound of rock, he changed its shape, its face, its very identity. Ziggy Stardust wasn't just a song, it was a character, a myth, a warning, and a revolution wrapped into 3.5 minutes. Bowie blurred every line between man and alien, fame and destruction, art and performance. And behind all the glam, eyeliner and glitter was a song that rocked hard. With sharp, punchy riffs and a melody that sinks into your bones, Ziggy Stardust carried real weight. Mick Ronson's guitar sounded like it was snarling through velvet, and Bowie's voice, always theatrical, delivered every word like prophecy. Ziggy was beautiful, tragic, and doomed, and you couldn't look away. For the first time, rock music had a true shapeshifter, someone who could create entire worlds, then destroy them in the next verse. And after Bowie, nothing about rock, image, sound, or attitude would ever be safe again. Before thrash had a name, Queen accidentally invented it. Cold Crazy was faster, sharper, and meaner than anything else on the radio in 1974. No ballads, no opera, just pure, unfiltered speed. Freddie Mercury barked the lyrics like a man possessed, while Brian May's guitar slashed through the mix with metallic precision. The song barely hits 2 minutes, but it feels like being launched out of a cannon, and that's what made it revolutionary. Queen, known for grandeur and elegance, suddenly showed they could get dirty. They didn't just flirt with heavy, they went full throttle. This track would go on to influence everyone from Metallica, who later covered it, to punk bands who were still learning their first chords. Stone Cold Crazy wasn't just a surprise, it was a glimpse of the chaos to come. And just when you thought rock couldn't get any heavier, another band was waiting to take things even further. AC/DC didn't invent hard rock. But with High Voltage, they stripped it down, amped it up, and made it something primal. This wasn't polished or poetic. It was raw power, gritty riffs, pounding drums, and Bon Scott's voice tearing through the speakers like a back alley brawl. High Voltage didn't try to be clever. It just hit you in the gut and kept swinging. What made it so important wasn't complexity. It was clarity. AC/DC reminded everyone what rock was supposed to feel like. Loud, sweaty, rebellious, and alive. They weren't chasing trends or experimenting with soundscapes. They were plugging in, turning up, and blowing the doors off the place. And the result? A blueprint for generations of hard rock and metal bands to come. But even with all that electricity, there was still one more band about to drop a sonic bomb that would change everything. By 1975, Black Sabbath had already rewritten rock history. But Symptom of the Universe pushed it even further. This wasn't just heavy, it was relentless. A perfect storm of speed, aggression, and raw emotion. The riffs cut sharp like a razor, and the rhythm section thundered like a runaway train. Tony Iommi's guitar work here was downright furious, hinting at the birth of thrash metal years before it had a name. Ozzy's vocals shifted between eerie calm and wild intensity, adding layers to the chaos beneath. The song's structure was complex, twisting through heavy grooves and sudden bursts of fury. It was a glimpse into a darker, faster future for rock. And just when you think it's over, the band smashes into a blazing solo that leaves no doubt. Black Sabbath didn't just change hard rock, they defined its edge. These 10 tracks weren't just songs, they were seismic shifts. They laid the groundwork for everything that came next and still echo through rock music today. Aerosmith's Dream On wasn't just a ballad, it was a slow-burning storm that exploded into hard rock legend. Steven Tyler's haunting vocals and the song's dramatic build-up created a perfect blend of emotion and power. The gentle piano intro lures you in, but by the time that iconic scream hits, you're hooked, and there's no turning back. What made Dream On revolutionary was its balance between vulnerability and raw energy. It showed that hard rock could be soulful and anthemic at the same time. This track inspired countless bands to mix melody with muscle, proving that power didn't have to mean chaos. Aerosmith didn't just write a song, they created an anthem for dreamers and rebels alike. From the gritty roar of Link Ray to the anthemic power of Aerosmith, these 10 songs didn't just shape the 70s, they changed the entire face of rock music. Each track pushed the limits, broke new ground, and set the stage for everything that followed. But this story is far from over. Which of these songs hit you the hardest? And what bands from this era still influence your favorite artists today? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to watch the next video where we dive into the explosive hard rock moments that followed in the late 70s and beyond.